Number 20. The Horned King, The Black Cauldron. Speaking of ratings, The Black Cauldron marked the first animated Disney film to venture into PG territory. That might not sound like a big deal now, but since this dark fantasy came out in the 80s, a PG rating could get away with some pretty graphic imagery. While the film was apparently toned down to avoid an even more adult-oriented rating, the Horned King's death is still pure nightmare fuel. With his skeletal body and terrifying red eyes, the villain already has a creepy design, but he's only made more grotesque as the cauldron consumes him, stripping the flesh from his bones. In retrospect, he was surprisingly easy for Taran to defeat, but this doesn't take away from the shock factor.
Oh no! How horrible!
Number 19. King Agnar and Queen Iduna. Frozen. Sometimes the most horrifying deaths are the most realistic. For all the magic in Frozen, King Agnar and Queen Iduna meet a very grounded demise. After bidding farewell to their loved ones, the King and Queen of Arendelle set out for what they believe will be a 2-week voyage. Sadly, Agnar and Iduna never return. Their ship is engulfed by dangerous waters on a stormy night. Anna and Elsa are forced to relive the trauma in the sequel when they discover the wreckage of their parents' lost ship. Although there are no bodies on board, Elsa uses the water to summon the painful memory of her father and mother's final moments. Embracing each other, Agnar and Iduna accept fate as the dark sea claims their lives.
Gothel has to be the source of her magic.
Keep going for Elsa.
The waves are too high!
Number 18. Shan Yu, Mulan. Shan Yu is a human wrecking ball, punching through doors and slicing pillars like they're made of butter. While the Hun leader has brute strength on his side, Mulan has strategy.
It looks like you're out of ideas.
Not quite.
With a fan, a sword, one big skyrocket, and a little bit of help from her friends, she ends Shan Yu's campaign of terror. Pinned down, the helpless villain is sent flying into a tower of fireworks, blowing to smithereens.
Get off the roof, get off the roof, get off the roof.
Although Shan Yu's demise seems cartoony on the surface, that's only because we're spared from seeing his crispy remains. Considering how dangerous fireworks are, it's safe to assume that Shan Yu suffered, and the aftermath was not a pretty sight. For anyone with an active imagination, however, it's hard not to envision the grisly details.
You are a lucky book.
Number 17. Sykes, Oliver and Company.
But the party is over.
Although Oliver and Company has some breathtaking New York backdrops, it also authentically captures the city's grittier side. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the final chase when Sykes meets his maker. This loan shark is scum, kidnapping a little girl and endangering animals in the process. As satisfying as Sykes' demise is, that doesn't make it less disturbing. Taking the pursuit onto the subway rails, our heroes dodge the oncoming train. Sykes isn't so lucky. The scene is especially terrifying when you watch it in slow motion, allowing the audience to really see the fear in Sykes' eyes as he stares down the headlights before the train obliterates his vehicle. And that, kids, is why you don't play on the subway tracks. Number 16. Professor Ratigan, the Great Mouse Detective.
Basil, look out!
As much as Ratigan attempts to present himself as a refined elitist, he's really nothing more than a filthy rat. Don't tell him that, though, or else you might meet the same fate as Bartholomew.
Oh, Ratigan. Oh, Ratigan. You're the tops. And that's that. Oops, yeah.
When Ratigan's schemes fall apart, he lets the beast inside run rampant, as he pursues Basil and little Olivia inside Big Ben. The use of sound and building music adds to the tension as Ratigan hones in on our heroes, practically ripping Basil to shreds with his claws. But as the clock bell tolls, Ratigan's time on Earth officially runs out, plunging him to an appropriate fate for a rat. Number 15. Hopper, A Bug's Life. On paper, this death might not sound especially macabre. We mean, birds feed bugs to their young every day. Seeing the carnage from the bug's point of view, however, we're given a first-hand look at just how grim the food chain can be. Lured to a bird's nest, Hopper assumes that this is another fake that the ants have cooked up.
Well, what's this? Another one of your little bird tricks?
It dawns on Hopper too late that this bird of prey is the real deal. By this point, his fate is sealed. Dangling from the bird's beak, Hopper is lowered into the nest where 3 hatchlings need to feed. The chicks look fairly realistic for a late 90s CGI, which adds to the horror as we zoom into one's mouth as Hopper is consumed. Number 14. Commander Rourke, Atlantis: The Lost Empire. This may be the most creative death on our list, petrifying audiences young and old in a new and creative way.
Nothing personal!
Even as his escape plan blows up in his face, Commander Rourke is determined to go down swinging. He nearly gives Milo the axe, but our hero compensates for his lack of brawn with brains. He cuts Rourke with a crystal shard, which seemingly only leaves a minor injury. The scratch rapidly envelops Rourke's entire body though, crystallizing him into a phenomenally demented creature. He looks like the Human Torch, the Invisible Woman, and the Thing all rolled into one. Still refusing to give up, Rourke hits the fan and is shattered into countless pieces. And this time, it was personal. Number 13. Scroop, Treasure Planet. A lot of Disney villains die falling from great heights. Scroop's demise is the exact opposite. This scene is like something out of Alien, and while not quite as chilling as that film, it comes close enough. As Scroop attempts to snap Jim Hawkins into pieces, Ben fidgets with the artificial gravity, sending the two spiraling towards the crow's nest. Although Scroop appears to have the upper hand, or the upper claw in this case, the agile Jim bests Scroop, ensnaring him in a black flag.
Do say hello to Mr. Arrow. Tell him yourself!
As Scroop spirals to a dire fate beyond the stars, we try not to think about the ensuing asphyxiation or decompression he probably endured. But hey, maybe he ran into Mr. Arrow out there? Too soon? Number 12. Judge Doom, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one Disney film that was arguably made more for adult animation fans than kids. As such, the filmmakers were able to take the creep factor a step beyond. And in the 80s, that's saying a lot. The scariest moment is saved for the climax when Judge Doom reveals himself as the Toon who did in Eddie's brother.
Remember me, Eddie? When I killed your brother, I talked! Just wait!
Doom is destroyed by his own concoction as he's hosed down with dip. Channeling the Wicked Witch of the West, Doom dissolves into a puddle, wailing in agony.
I'm melting! Melting!
Unlike the Wicked Witch, however, Doom leaves a big mess behind, and we thought getting run over by a steamroller was a dark way to go. Number 11. Oogie Boogie, The Nightmare Before Christmas. During his early days at Disney, Tim Burton's gothic imagination was met with some resistance. After Burton found success with films like Batman, Disney gave his team the freedom to produce this passion project, despite it being darker than their usual fare. Director Henry Selick didn't hold back with the demise of Oogie Boogie. Oogie Boogie is the stuff that nightmares are made of, figuratively speaking. Literally speaking, he's made of bugs. And thanks to a loose string, it only takes one fell swoop for Jack to unravel Oogie's dastardly plan.
How dare you treat my friends so shamefully!
Stripped of his burlap sack, which was essentially his skin, Oogie's reduced to a pile of bugs.
My bugs! My bugs! My bugs! My bugs!
the insects that don't fall into the scorching cauldron below get stepped on by old Saint Nick. Number 10, Maleficent, Sleeping Beauty.
Now shall you deal with me, O prince, and all the powers of hell!
You'd be hard-pressed to find a Disney movie with a bigger, more exciting final showdown than Sleeping Beauty. In the film's climax, the wicked Maleficent decides to bring her A-game to the table by calling on the powers of hell and taking on the form of a fire-breathing dragon in a garden of thorns. Thanks to the three fairies' magic, though, Prince Philip strikes Maleficent in her black heart with his virtuous sword. Thus, a ghastly villain meets her gruesome end, notably shedding some fairly graphic blood for a Disney movie. Number 9, Gaston, Beauty and the Beast.
Come on out and fight!
After an intense battle atop the Beast's castle, it looks like Gaston and the Beast might part ways without spilling any blood.
Get out.
Since the phrase live and let live is foreign to the egotistical hunter though, Gaston literally stabs his prey in the back. This proves to be Gaston's undoing as he loses his balance and plummets to his death. If you think Gaston could have miraculously survived the fall somehow, the animators ruled out this possibility by adding a skull and crossbones to his pupils. How subliminally horrifying. Number 8, The Evil Queen, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The Evil Queen might have succeeded in offing Snow White, but she soon learns that even monarchs can't get away with murder. As the seven dwarves race back to the cottage, the queen absconds up a nearby mountain and attempts to crush her pursuers with a giant boulder. When a lightning bolt strikes the cliff, though, the queen becomes the first of many Disney baddies to fall to their death. Even if the fall didn't kill her, the boulder most certainly did, providing dinner for some lingering, hungry vultures. Number 7, Syndrome, The Incredibles. Syndrome meets perhaps the most darkly humorous demise on this list, but it's still a terrifying way to go. Edna Mode gave several examples of why capes aren't the smartest superhero accessory.
Meta Man, express elevator, Diner Guy, snag on takeoff, splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No capes!
And yet, we didn't really pay much attention to Syndrome's wardrobe. That is, until the final showdown. Syndrome's undoing was hanging over his shoulders this whole time. While Syndrome avoids the car that Mr. Incredible chucks at him, his fate is sealed by a jet engine in which his cape gets caught. As clever as this resolution is, all we're thinking about now is what a turbine does to the human body. Sorry, buddy, you will not be back for the sequel.
Oh, man. That was totally wicked!
Number 6, Frollo, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Frollo has deluded himself into thinking that he's a righteous man and soldier of God when, in reality, he's committed every deadly sin in the book.
It was my duty, horrible as it was. I hope you can forgive me.
Frollo's lifetime of sinning and hypocrisy finally catch up to him atop Notre Dame.
Leaving so soon?
Before he can do Quasimodo and Esmeralda in, Frollo finds himself standing under a crumbling gargoyle. Staring a devil in the face, Frollo drops to his final resting place in a sea of hellfire and molten copper. Talk about an ironic way to go out. Number 5, Mother Gothel, Tangled. For centuries, Gothel used the sundrop flower to remain healthy and youthful. When Rapunzel inherited the flower's properties, Gothel spent another 18 years feeding off the magic.
Bring back what once was mine. What once was mine.
Gothel had found her new magic flower, but this time, she was determined to keep it hidden.
Her age finally catches up to her when Eugene cuts Rapunzel's hair. As the hair loses its magical essence, it also loses its effect on Gothel. In a flash, Gothel transforms into a decrepit old woman. Not paying attention to where she's going, Gothel overlooks Pascal and trips out the window. By the time she hits the ground, only dust remains. It's an unsettling demise, although we have to admit it's kind of funny that Pascal finished her off. Never underestimate a frog.
Chameleon?
Chameleon. Number 4, Dr. Facilier, the Princess and the Frog. Where Frollo only figuratively fell into hell, Dr. Facilier is literally dragged there in this scene from The Princess and the Frog. Facilier believes that he has the upper hand with demonic powers on his side, but he underestimates Tiana and her sticky tongue.
It's not slime, it's mucus!
No! No!
With his voodoo charm destroyed, Facilier's friends from the other side appear to collect their debt. In Mardi Gras fashion, an army of masks, dolls, and shrunken heads take Facilier to their world, whether he's ready or not.
No! I'm not ready at all! Get back! I got lots more plans! Are you ready?
The moral of the story, don't screw with voodoo.
Just a little more time! I promise I'll pay you back! I promise!
Number 3, Scar, the Lion King. Scar may usurp the throne from Mufasa, but he gets his comeuppance in the end.
Long live the king.
Being something of a Shakespearean villain, it's only appropriate that Scar is given a proper Shakespearean send-off.
Oh, yes, I remember. This is just the way your father looked before he died.
Unlike Gaston, Scar survives his fall after fighting the film's hero. It's what's waiting at the bottom of Pride Rock that leads to his ultimate demise. Turns out that Scar's hyena lackeys don't appreciate being thrown under the bus.
Oh, my friends.
Friends? I thought he said we were the enemy.
As fire engulfs the area, the hyenas surround their former boss, maul him to death, and likely devour his carcass as the camera pans up from the massacre.
Let me explain. No, you don't understand. No, I didn't mean... No.
Oh well, circle of life. Number 2, Ursula, the Little Mermaid. Ursula is already a pretty terrifying presence on her own. How can you make her any more intimidating? How about by having her grow like 100 feet, giving her an all-powerful Triton, and bathing her in a whirlpool of chaos? The only thing more frightening than Ursula herself is how she perishes, as Prince Eric impales her with a ship, sending the sea witch to a watery grave. No matter how old you are, this is total scary overdrive, and it was all brought to you by the dark magic of Disney. Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions. Charles Muntz, Up. What goes up must come down. Stegosaurus, Fantasia, an uncompromising depiction of prehistoric animal nature and nature in general. Tarzan's parents, Tarzan. The bloody paw prints would have been enough. The Oysters, Alice in Wonderland. They were just kids.
Little oysters, little oysters. But unshared there came none. And this was scarcely odd because they'd been eaten. Everyone!
Mr. Whiskers, Frankenweenie. Oh, look at that. I've been impaled. Number 1. Clayton, Tarzan. This death seems more like something out of a Final Destination movie than a Disney animated feature.
I've got some hunting to do.
Sure, there's no gore, but there might as well be. In the midst of a jungle brawl with Tarzan, Clayton finds himself tangled in a cluster of vines. Unaware of the vine wrapped around his neck, Clayton gets reckless with his machete and hangs his head in defeat.
Wait, don't!
The only glimpse the audience gets of the body is via its shadow, which is almost as haunting as seeing the actual carnage. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.